Peter, always ready to help, picked up a young hitchhiker named Elena on a hot summer day. He took her to his small house on the edge of town, expecting nothing more than her grateful smile. But the next morning, as Peter watched the news, he was shocked and scared to see something that made his heart race. It was common for truck drivers to pick up hitchhikers, and when Peter saw a girl who looked no older than 12 on the side of the road, he knew he had to help. He pulled it over and opened his passenger door for her. The girl stepped into his truck without an ounce of fear on her face. "Good afternoon," she said happily. "Hi," Peter answered confusedly. "Where are you headed?" He didn't want to pry too much, as he didn't want to make the girl uncomfortable. The girl gave Peter an address that was about an hour's drive in the opposite direction from where he needed to go. Despite this, he decided to take her there anyway. As he began to drive again, Peter tried to have a casual conversation. "I'm Peter. What's your name?" he asked the girl. "I'm Alina," the girl said, staring at the road in front of her. It stayed quiet for a bit, but Peter was too curious. "What is a young girl like you doing all alone at the side of the road?" He watched as Alina's facial expression changed from neutral to a bit sad. Then she looked at Peter and returned the question. "What is an old man like you doing picking up young girls off the side of the road?" she asked, her big eyes staring right into his. Peter was taken aback by the girl's sassy response and began to stammer. Hey," he said. Then the girl began to laugh. "I'm just joking, but I won't answer your question." "It's a secret," Elena said. Peter chuckled nervously, a strange feeling creeping over him regarding the girl. She no longer appeared innocent. Instead, she seemed peculiar. He returned his focus to the road, checking the navigation for the time. With 45 minutes remaining, Peter felt uneasy with the strange girl in his truck. Occasionally, he glanced at her, but she remained silent, staring ahead. Uncertain if her silence stemmed from fear or something else, Peter couldn't shake the discomfort. It was unlike him to feel this way, especially around a child. Attempting conversation, Peter asked if she was heading to her parents' house, but her response was brief. Frustrated with the lack of dialogue, he switched on the radio for the remainder of the drive. Arriving in a modest house, the girl thanked Peter before exiting. He stayed until she entered the house, unable to see who greeted her. Starting his truck again, Peter sighed in relief, grateful he had been the one to pick her up. Despite being an hour behind schedule, he felt reassured knowing she was safe. On his way back, Peter couldn't shake the encounter with the girl from his mind. She had left a lasting impression lingering in his thoughts. Seeking distraction, he turned on the radio, but it was tuned to the news. Disliking the news, he changed the station and continued his drive. Needing rest, Peter planned to stop a truck stop in a couple of hours to sleep before resuming his journey the next day. That night, Peter was plagued by nightmares. Around 4 in the morning, he woke to the sound of police sirens rushing past, disrupting his sleep. After dropping off his cargo, Peter returned home exhausted. He sank onto the couch, beer in one hand, pizza in the other, and flicked on the TV, hoping for his favorite show. A picture of the little girl he had picked up earlier flashed on the screen, shocking him. He scrambled for a pen to jot down the phone number displayed, feeling a mix of worry and confusion. Turning to his laptop, he scoured the internet for any information about Alina, but found nothing. Despite dead ends online, his determination to help Alina only grew. He hesitated over whether to call the number, torn between wanting to assist her and fearing potential trouble. Lost in thought, he mulled over the mystery of Alina's sudden appearance on the news and pondered reaching out to a friend for guidance, unsure of whom to trust. Despite feeling the need for someone to confide in, Peter couldn't shake the dissonance between the calm Alina he knew and the panicked version on the news. After a restless night, he resolved to take action, feeling compelled to ensure Alina's safety. With trembling hands, he dialed the number, ready to assist however he could. But instead of reaching the police, he encountered a cold, threatening voice on the other end, leaving him shaken. The ominous warning made it clear that he was being monitored, plunging him into a state of fear and uncertainty. Peter felt trapped in a situation more dangerous than he had imagined after a phone call. His paranoia grew, making him see every sound and stranger as a threat. Despite the fear, he decided to find Alina to solve the mystery. He reached out to friends for support and planned his next steps. Determined to uncover the truth, Peter drove to Alina's house, feeling both nervous and resolute. Each mile felt long as he thought about what he might find. Arriving at the house, a sense of déjà vu hit him. With a deep breath, he knocked on the door, ready for whatever was ahead. When the door finally creaked open, Peter's shock was palpable as he faced an unexpected figure, the news anchor from TV. Without a word, the anchor motioned for him to enter, leaving Peter torn between curiosity and apprehension. Despite the uncertainty, he took a hesitant step forward, propelled by a mixture of dread and curiosity. Inside, now with the door shut behind him, Peter was committed to seeing the story through. This was the moment of truth. The news anchor, dressed casually at home, joked about his lack of a tie, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. It was evident he carried a heavy burden, far removed from his confident on-air persona. He began to explain the complexities of Elena's situation, revealing threats and desperate measures taken to protect her. Peter listened, stunned by the depth of the deception and the danger they were facing. The anchor admitted to orchestrating false reports and calls to divert attention from their plight. Peter realized he was now entangled in their struggle. Despite the risks, they found themselves united against a common threat. As they waited together, the weight of their situation became palpable, forging an unexpected alliance born out of necessity. The anchor acknowledged the unforeseen intersection of their paths, and Peter agreed. Their connection, forged amid the turmoil of danger, offered a semblance of solidarity in the face of uncertainty. And as they sat in tense anticipation, the anchor remarked, "Now we wait." His gaze fixed on the silent phone, Peter felt the anxiety bubble up, the inactivity a stark contrast to the turmoil inside him. They'd exchanged stories of fear and fleeting hopes, a way to distract from the helplessness that threatened to overwhelm them as they awaited a Siam intervention. In the quiet moments, Peter's thoughts drifted to how a simple gesture of kindness had spiraled into a confrontation with a hidden world of danger. "Never thought my life would turn into a thriller," he half-joked, trying to lighten the mood. The anchor offered a weary chuckle in response. Both understood the gravity of their situation, caught in a storm they could neither predict nor control, waiting for a break in the clouds. As the night wore on, Peter and the anchor found themselves in deep conversation, sharing bits of their lives far removed from the shadow of danger. "In another life, we could have been friends," Peter said, half smiling. The anchor nodded. "Under different stars, perhaps." Their laughter, rare and fleeting, echoed softly, a reminder of the humanity behind the headlines and the crisis at hand. Peter couldn't help but admire the anchor's unwavering determination. "You've done everything possible for Elena," he observed, the respect evident in his voice. The anchor, looking weary but resolute, responded, "You find strength you didn't know you had once for your child." It was a lesson in resilience in the face of unimaginable threats that Peter would not soon forget. In the darkest hours, moments of hope flickered between them. They spoke of after this is over, daring to dream of calm after the storm. "Maybe we'll all have a normal day again," Peter mused, trying to picture a future without fear. The anchor smiled, "A day without looking over our shoulders." It was a fragile hope, but it was theirs to hold on to. As dawn crept through the curtains, its light seemed to carry the promise of an end to their nightmare. "It's almost over," the anchor said, his voice tinged with both exhaustion and relief. The thought of the gang being apprehended, Elena safe, and the threat dissolved lent them strength as they faced the new day. The first rays of sunlight felt like the beginning of an answer, a signal that resolution was on the horizon. The news of the gang's arrest spread through the room like a long-awaited breeze, and the anchor shared a look of profound relief, a silent acknowledgement that their shared nightmare was finally over. "It's done," the anchor sighed, a tension melting from his shoulders. The relief was palpable, a tangible thing that filled the space between them, sealing the end of their ordeal. Peter gathered his things, the weight of the last few days pressing down on him one last time. He paused at the door, looking back at the anchor, a man who had been a stranger and had become an unexpected ally. "This was quite the journey," Peter said, a hint of a smile breaking through. It was time to step back into his life, but he was changed forever. The anchor extended his hand. "Thank you, Peter. You've done more than you know." Their handshake was firm, a sign of shared respect. "Take care," the anchor said, voice heavy with emotion. Gratitude lingered, forming an unexpected bond. Driving away, Peter replayed the events, each a lesson in courage and compassion. He had stepped into the unknown to help and saw the ripple effects of kindness. He left with insights into bravery, empathy, and fate's dance. As Peter merged onto the road, the world seemed new. The challenges had given him a deeper appreciation for human connections. With a new sense of purpose, he felt ready for whatever came next.